Hello everyone. This is the 30th part of the story, Pērcy Jackson, the God of Magic. Chapter 146. After the incident with Naga, whatever his name was, I decided the best path to ensure my victory on a future imminent encounter with him was to copy some his methods. While crazy and deranged, he had proved to be better prepared than any of us in the ways of war. His army was dangerous, too dangerous, meaning the only way to match his might was to also create an army of drones to assist me when the time came. Of course, this was easier said than done. Besides Miss J and her clones, my experience in the area of creating self-sufficient golems was questionable at best. But not all knowledge required decades of study and effort. All you had to do was eat a healthy meal. And I had the perfect dish for my conundrum, Hephaestus, the god of the forge, and my next target. Eating him would grant me immeasurable knowledge in the art of creating and forging beings into life. Now all I had to do was find him and kill him, or offer him once again an opportunity to join. I didn't have to eat all my problems away. That didn't sound like a healthy choice at all. Who knows, he might say yes. Time to find him, I sighed, finding this task rather easy, for a vast array of reasons. Apparently he didn't live on Olympus, because according to Athena, most of the gods in there considered him too ugly to be on their realm full-time like the rest of them were, meaning he would only attend meetings and go away as soon as they finished. Thanks to that, his location was easy to obtain, and according to what I had read and found with my magic, he was on the Forge of the Earth, a magical realm within one of the biggest volcanoes in the world. Here goes nothing, I muttered, teleporting to the forge. Inside the forge, there was nothing but weapons of all kinds, armors, and so much more. The place was filled to the brim with thousands of weapons forged by the Hephaestus himself. From daggers to spears, he had it all. Except a good security system. I had entered his realm without any difficulties, which shouldn't be possible at all. I fully expected to be teleported out of his realm, in the edges of his home. I fully expected having to force my way through the dimensional barrier that kept his world out of the human world, and yet, nothing. It was as if I had been welcomed, as if the god of the forge had invited me to his home. If so, why? You all right there, kid? A deep, gruff voice said, snapping me out of my long reverie. Turning around, I look up to see Hephaestus, the owner of the original, standing a few meters away from me, his apron full of burns and oil. You looked like you were asleep on your feet there. You knew I was coming, I pointed out, to which he nodded. I had a feeling, Hephaestus grunted, and here you are. Why? I asked, why are you so welcoming? What is the catch? I elaborated on my question. Normally my meetings with the gods end up with me having to fight for my life, with 50% of them trying to molest me. For a moment, the god looked at me and said nothing, his eyes piercing into my soul like knives carving a turkey, both cold and hot. His almost emotionless gaze made me feel unease, strange, almost uncomfortable. With sigh, the old god broke the silence in the room and said, "Follow me." I was intrigued, vexed by this turn of events. I knew I had thought of offering him the option of joining me before I tried to eat his soul, but I didn't really think I would get to offer him such a thing, and yet, here I was following him through his forge. I have to ask, why are you so friendly, or at least, civil with the one that should by all means be your enemy? The god said nothing, he simply kept on walking with me, following him close behind to who knows where. I knew he wasn't ignoring me. I knew that much. I also knew he wasn't planning anything. His soul vibrated in a very distinctive tempo, one that I had only encountered in Hestia. Of course, his was diluted in a sense. Unlike Hestia, who was pure to the very core, Hephaestus had a more dark tone to his essence, one full with bitterness and something akin to hate. The point was that he didn't have any intention of attacking me. His entire aura was open for me to read, which was something intentional on his part. You see, while reading the aura of a god, you don't get all the answers, only what they cannot hide. and they can always hide something. But right now, Hephaestus is letting me read him. He is intentionally lowering his guard, showing me he has no intention of fighting. Here it is. Hephaestus stopped on his tracks, opening a door that led to a bar. Take a sit, he added as he walked behind the counter of his bar. I don't even know what is going on anymore. I was lost. His entire being contradicted what I thought of the gods. Why am I here? To have a drink. Hephaestus' answer was short and to the point. Why else would you go to a bar? He had a point there. I meant, why have you brought me here? I asked again. Perhaps I needed to word my questions better. The god of the forge sighed as he reached behind himself and grabbed a bottle off the tall shelf, uncorking it and pouring out 2 drinks, one for me and one for him. I don't know, kid. I'm not sure why. Wasn't that informative? Well, I can't complain. I'm fighting for my life, for once. Hephaestus snorted for a very brief second. I know you want to kill me, brat. The fates told me of this, centuries ago. I wanted to kill him, sure, but only if he said no to my God. How crazy I have that my solution for everything is killing those who oppose me. Oh God, I am crazy. Every god is. Hephaestus nodded. The fates told me you wanted to, not that you would. Well, fuck the fates. I don't want to kill you anymore. I refuse to solve all my problems with the same solution, killing and eating my opponents. I still had lots of stuff to learn, powers to develop, limits to find. There was no need to kill everyone, just those who really deserve it. Zeus, Hera, maybe Sushidon. I was a god, not a tyrant. Remarkably, they said you would say that. Hephaestus sighed. Kid, I'm ready. For what? I asked, not liking where this was going. I lived my life and did what I had to do, but I am done. I no longer want to linger around those who ridicule me, Hephaestus stated, and before you offer me a place in your pantheon, have in mind, you can't force others to love what they disgust. I was born out of envy and hate, and the one person who should have loved me, casted me away the moment I was born. Then the woman I loved, hated me. I'll be honest, I don't see why people say you are that ugly. I mean, you are not a 10, but you are not a 1 either, I replied. And in all honesty, while he was ugly, he wasn't the kind of ugly that would make you want to die. Heck, I have seen gods more ugly than him, my brother Uka, and the hentai one that sired me. This isn't about me being ugly, Hephaestus chuckled. I know I am not the most disgusting thing to look at in the world. The real reason I want you to kill me is because I have no will to live, kid. The life of a god is painful. I am tired of it. And so I waited for you to put an end to this nightmare some call immortality. Is it weird I don't want to do it? I asked him, and he chuckled. Well, for someone who initially wanted to eat me, and then not. I suppose it shows you still have a long way to fully mold your path as a god. Be sure to forge one you are proud of, kid. Hephaestus smiled. Now, hurry up, I don't have all day. Chapter 147. I looked at Hephaestus and shook my head. I respect your choice, but I won't kill you, and not because of moral reasons. I have many times done things morally dubious, but I refuse to be a part of what by all means it's a suicide. I had stood low, but not that low, not yet. Hephaestus looked at me for a hard long second, before he started to chuckle. I see, well, the fates were right. You are still struggling with the thing inside you. The thing inside what? I will ask you to elaborate on that. I pressed him, if he had any information about me that I myself didn't have. I wanted it. Well, you are the side one coin, the good side depending on the glass you use to look at it. The other side is the part of you that wants to kill, to maim, to inflict suffering. Two parts of a singular entity, you, Hephaestus explained. It's complicated, but in a way, you suffer from the same condition we suffer, but in a different way, he sighed, taking a seat in front of me. Same condition? I was honestly lost. What condition did he or rather them suffered that I know also suffered? I didn't quite understand that. Hephaestus paused, taking a sip on his drink. Kid, the Roman situation. I didn't have that, I mean. I would know, Hestia knows, everyone knows about their alter egos, why would I be the exception? I don't think I suffer from that particular condition. Not in the way you think, Hephaestus replied, for you, the real war is within. Within, I muttered, are you saying I have another Adam inside me or something? Maybe I was stupid, but I wasn't getting it. At all. In a way, I suppose, but more accurately I would say, the parts of you, those parts you so desperately try to repress, well, they are there. He pointed to my head, and one day, boom, you will be the one in the passenger seat. That was rather ominous, and the fates told you this? I asked, wondering why the fates would go to Hephaestus of all gods to tell him this. Well, not all at once, I continued to visit them, and little by little they told me about the man that was supposed to be my executioner. I was curious. I guess, Hephaestus sighed, pouring more alcohol into his glass, some of those prophecies. Zeus heard them, but like always, he forgot over time, too many. Woman on his bed to remember the son of Nyarlathotep was coming. I suppose that worked out for me in the end. I see, I sighed. Well, so now what? I will do what most gods wanting to die do, make the world forget about me. It will take a few 100,000 years. But I will eventually end this painfully full existence I call life, Hephaestus chuckled. That's depressing, I chuckled. Hey, how about you let me do something for you? I mean, you helped me, not exactly in the way I wanted when I came here, but alas, you helped me. I appreciate the effort, but... Hephaestus started but I stopped him mid-sentence. Look, we both know life sucks, believe me, I know. My father is a monster that literally enjoys the suffering of humans and his peers. My brother wants to kill me because apparently I am Dad's favorite son, news to me by the way. And I have a war to win, and no fucking idea how. I sighed, taking a deep breath after. I've been winging my way around hoping stuff works, and it scares me, that one day I will fail because I lack something I don't know. It's your plan making me want to die faster, 'cause I'll be honest, it's working, Hephaestus said, his eyes carrying an old sadness that blinded the old god. No, the point is, that if I were alone, I wouldn't be here, at least not like I am right now, so I think I can help you get out of that depressive state, I finished with a smile. How? Hephaestus asked, sounding not interested at all. Well, you need friends, real ones, so I know just the place for you, a place where the entire population does what you do. I grinned, give the place a try. I'm sure you will feel at home there, no humans. Only big forests and smithy stuff. Fine, Hephaestus sighed, but remember. I won't fight for you in this war, nor I will help Zeus or Mother. That's fine, though, would you take commissions, not for the war with Zeus? He is the least of my problems right now, he went from being my worst nightmare to meh. I suppose, Hephaestus nodded, what is it that you want? An army of golems capable of fighting things like the things that attacked all the pantheons a few days ago, I answered. I have never done golems of that caliber. Hephaestus hummed, I find this idea exciting, count me in. If you want you can visit Hestia, she loves everybody, and that includes you, I added. She would love to have you in one of our movie nights. You're a good kid, Hephaestus smiled. I am vexed how you went from being ready to eat my soul, to be worried about my life. I wonder, which of you is the real Adam, the one that wants me dead, or the one that wants me alive? Option B? I had no idea how to answer that dark question. Sure, I will go with you, all I have is time right now. time until the world forgets about me, so, don't worry. You can tell Aunt Hestia. I will visit, Hephaestus chuckled, taking another sip of his drink. Lead the way to that forging paradise you speak of. Did he not know of Svartalfheim? That shit was common knowledge. Nah. Maybe he's just playing with me. It's hard to tell with his depressed state clouding the rest of his emotions. All right, I chuckled, teleporting us to Svartalfheim. Chapter 148. Why had I helped Hephaestus? Was it a way to show myself I wasn't all that bad, or was it out of pity? I couldn't really tell. It was one of those choices I didn't fully comprehend myself, but at least, I had found a master in the art of crafting, a very particular skill I wanted to learn, in order to defeat Naga-Uga, or whatever his name was. My lessons with Hephaestus were complicated, leaving lots of questions and no answers at the end of each session. So, after a certain amount of time, I decided to go with my original plan B, hire him and the dwarves to build what I wanted, and well. Hephaestus accepted, not because he needed money, nor anything for that matter, but because he, while clinically depressed, was very competitive, and the idea of having his creations fighting the outer ones excited him a bit, which was good considering the guy wanted to kill himself. As for my internal struggle, I had just found out. That doesn't sound right. I already knew I had a problem within me. What I didn't know is that I had one that by all means was cliché as fuck, a dark me, hooray. Anyways, as for my internal struggle, I had two options, one finding a way to erase that part of me, or accept it. According to Buddha, the only way to save myself is to accept myself, easier said than done. How can I fucking accept that there's a part of me that wants to kill everyone? It's like accepting a knife to the balls, you just don't. The point was, I had to find a way to control, well me, or I would suffer a Majin Buu scenario. What's a Majin Buu scenario, you ask? Well, it's rather simple. All the evil shit within me will get expelled if I don't find a way to rein my other side, creating a version of me that lacks all morals and anything, and, well, the rest is quite self-explanatory. The evil me will fight the good me until one wins and absorbs the other. In this scenario, I was the fat Buu, not very flattering, but it is what it is. I know very well the biggest part of my power lies within what I inherited from Nyarlathotep, and if that's the part evil me will get during our showdown, well, I might as well get some lube, 'cause things will get ugly for me, the good me. But there was no point in worrying about that now. I was still in control, partly, and would figure out a way to deal with my inner demon, my father, and Zeus. Murphy, please stop fucking me. I chuckled. After all, Murphy was my one true enemy. Adam, Odin, who was visiting my realm, approached me. I have investigated about your situation with Mimir, and I have nothing. Well, that was a new one. What you have is nothing like the situation with our alter egos. Hephaestus elaborated on that point rather badly. For you, is more like, it's complicated to explain. I eyed the Norse king for a moment, before replying, I will figure it out. Maybe my Grimoire has something about it. A chapter 1 have yet to unlock. Is this why? I am the key to his undoing, because all it's keeping that part of him inside is me? Hestia asked as she appeared in front of me in a burst of flames, startling the heck out of me. I did not expect her to pop out of nowhere. She usually uses fire nearby to open a portal, never like this. Wait, the key of my what? What do you mean? I asked her, as Odin took a step back. How much had Odin been keeping a secret from me, and why? I heard Odin talk about how you would end creation as we know if something were to happen with me, Hestia answered. I am honestly speechless, I muttered, chuckling bitterly. Well, then I guess I will keep doing what I've been doing all this time, keeping you out of harm's way, a task I had already failed, letting her fight the demons who invaded Earth. It is, Odin nodded. Hestia is by all means your sanity right now. Ain't that a healthy relationship? I chuckled, just great. I know I love Hestia with all my heart, but to have her be the very thing that keeps me from becoming a fucking monster, that shit ain't healthy at all. Adam, Hestia smiled, putting her hands ever so lightly on my face, one of each cheek. For a moment she caressed my face. No matter what happens to me, I will always be there for you, no matter what. I will never be far away from my special champion. I chuckled. You truly are too good for this good, though. The special part made me feel like I am handicapped. It did? Hestia asked, alarmed, sorry, and immediately apologized. God, you're adorable, I sighed. It was a joke, my cute and innocent cinnamon roll. I pinched her cheeks like one would do to an adorable baby. Don't worry. I will find a way to defeat me, quite literally. I wonder if this is what people say by saying, you are your own worst enemy. Stop. Hestia giggled, escaping from my pinching prison, and I believe mortal use that term in a metaphorical sense. In your case it is quite literal, Odin nodded. He was still here. Jesus, the guy needs a bell. Close enough, I shrugged. For now, let's just relax. Hestia offered, with a nervous smile. Sure. I nodded, to the Atom Cave. I chuckled. Holy guacamole, Batman. Hestia shouted back, and much to my hilarious dismay, she was wearing a Batgirl costume to accentuate the joke. Let's show those movies the due process of the law, while we for some way ignore it. Chapter 149. 4 days to no end. I continued doing some research about certain areas of expertise that would help me face my brother, who arguably was a bigger threat than Zeus. Zeus was one god, with a few following him. My brother, he had an army. As for my relationship with Hestia, I like to think I was making progress. She was definitely more open to talk about her romantic feelings for me, albeit there was no romantic action of any kind, and for whoever she deemed that necessary I would respect. She was worth it. Now, to the more complicated things in my life. After what Hephaestus said, and Odin confirmed, I started to read my Grimoire in the hopes of finding an answer, or at the very least a way to avoid that fate, eventually finding a spell that basically allowed me to enter my inner world. I immediately investigated the cons of doing such a thing. I mean, for all I knew, entering my inner world would be like giving my inner dark self an open invitation to take over. Nonetheless, Odin and Athena confirmed the spell would not backfire in such an horrible way. After that, there was nothing left but to use the spell I had found, nothing but a simple incantation, and I was inside my mind, or rather the mind's caps. Inside I discovered that my inner world was nothing but a city that, well, didn't exist in the real world. The fictional city was completely destroyed. Bodies were scattered in the ground, their faces stuck in perpetual expression of fear and agony. That's a red flag, I muttered. The faces of the dead looked familiar, almost as if I had met them before. Oh. Giving a hard long look, I realized why I felt such sense of familiarity. Every single body within this world was someone I had killed and consumed. Most of them were faces I had long forgotten from my time in Tartarus, others were more recent, and the memories of them were fresh and vivid. The sight was slightly disturbing, more so than I had ever anticipated such a thing to be. I knew I had killed every single one of them, but to see the bodies piling up, covering the streets with their decay, was disturbing. I was expecting you, a voice colder than the harshest winter spoke out loud, his tone almost lifeless, sending a shiver down my spine. Hello. I turned around, already knowing who was behind me. How could I not? How could I not recognize myself? Hello, I waved at my other half, and from a simple glance there weren't many differences between us, beyond our auras. His was dark and presented more energy than mine, while mine was, well, in comparison, mild. Come to see your future home? My dark doppelganger inquired, a small smile forming on his face. It's rather comfy. The bodies covering her ever-expanding world make this feel like home. Then, can you stay here? I offered in a sad attempt to maybe convince my darker self to simply not bother me anymore. I have to say, I am impressed. Not surprisingly, my doppelganger ignored me. You're supposed to be the good one. And yet you have filled this world with corpses. It almost makes me wonder. He stopped. No, that's just silly. So, we really have to do this? I sighed, fighting for control? Not we don't, he chuckled. I eyed my other self for a brief second before I asked, are you truly the darkness within me? In a way, he sighed, I am you, but not entirely evil, not yet at least. The power we inherited from our father will soon consume me, and then consume you. I mean, I am by all means your inner demon, but not the demon you should be scared of. So two evil selves. Great, I got a 2 for 1, I sighed, and my other half, or rather third laughed. I am what your human side so desperately wants to hide, and the beast slumbering within us, is what we are meant to be. My doppelganger chuckled, but don't be afraid, after all, there is no point in being afraid of the inevitable. I'm not afraid, I scoffed. I still had Hestia, and some self-control. All I had to do was to find a way to avoid this shit. You give that little goddess too much credit, my doppelganger snorted. Little by little, her influence on you slips away. Like the last summer of an old man, soon, she won't be enough, and when that happens, the slumbering beast shall roar, breaking down what makes you. You. So what you're saying is, I have to beat you and that other, me? You, us? I was starting to get confused. I suppose, he shrugged, but, in all honesty, can you really beat us? I mean, I can't beat the outer us, and I'm stronger than you. What hopes do you have to beat him, if you can't possibly beat me? Can I hug you, and say I accept you? It was worth a shot. I mean, Naruto did it. This is not an anime, his reply was cold, but what I expected. I mean it could, I shrugged. I am happy beyond comprehension you soon will no longer be the king of this body, your idiocy it's deplorable, he growled, glaring at me. Oh great, my other 2/3 are boring assholes, which means I'm 1/3 funny. I snorted. Next time, you won't find your visit so pleasant. With a wave of a hand, my dark self kicked me out of the server, I mean, my inner world. Opening my eyes, I found myself back to where I had casted the spell to visit my own mindscape. Well, I am more fucked than I anticipated. For the first time in a long time, I had no idea what to do, and how to escape this shitty destiny. Chapter 150. After finding out I had not one, but 2 little devils within me, I tried everything. I asked Odin, and he said he had no idea how to deal with this. I traveled to the well of Mimir, and yet again, the all-knowing god said he didn't know. So much for all-knowing. Then, I asked Buddha, and, well, he actually had an answer. I mean, I guess, he said hate and love go by the hand. You cannot accept one without accepting the other. In short, I had to accept myself to save myself? I'm not sure. His answers leave questions about myself I don't know if I want to answer, but he was the only one to actually have an answer, so for now, his Iroh-style ramblings were my only clue. One that didn't make any sense. I mean, I loved myself. I was funny, handsome, at least I like to think so, and smart. Who am I kidding? Of course. That wasn't what Buddha meant. He probably meant to love my other selves, like I love me, because only then I would actually be at peace with myself. Easier said than done, I sighed. Enlightenment comes with time, Buddha smiled, patting me on the head, like a dog. Bitch, excuse me? Well, unfortunately, I am a time bomb, a sexy one at that, but a time bomb nonetheless. I chuckled. I have to find a way to avoid whatever it is that is going to happen. Do not dwell in the past, young god, nor fear of the future. Concentrate your mind on the present moment. Buddha smiled. What is meant to be, it will be. Dwelling in such thoughts does nothing but bringing suffering to you and those around you that worry about you. I suppose, I sighed, it's just. I'm afraid of hurting Hestia, of hurting anyone. How am I supposed to relax when I'm destined to supposedly bring forth the end of creation as we know it? It's like saying, hey, you have a week to live, but chill. I am not asking you to chill, Buddha chuckled. I'm just saying only you will find a way to save yourself. For one, I wished someone would save me, I admitted with a smile. Too much shit to deal with. No one saves us but ourselves. No one can and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path to salvation, Buddha smiled. Only then you will find the enlightenment to face this destiny that was forced upon you. I suppose, I sighed, I just don't want to become a monster. I don't want to hurt anyone that doesn't deserve it. Adam, we are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make the world around us. As long as you think there is no escape to this destiny, there won't be any, Buddha stated, his eyes giving me such a sense of serenity I found it hard not to believe the old god. The mind is everything, Adam. What you think you become. If you think yourself a monster, you will be one. You are really wise, I chuckled. I try to be, but in reality, all I am and will be is the result of my experiences. Give yourself some time, and you will be as wise as you think me to be, Buddha chuckled. Life is but a path of adventures that makes us who we are. Well, thanks for the advice, but I have to go. Hestia is waiting for me, I chuckled, ready to spend some time with the one thing in the whole universe that made me feel at peace. Peace comes from within, Adam. Do not seek it without, Buddha stated, giving me a knowing look. As long as you depend on Hestia to bring you peace, you won't find true peace. You don't look for peace in others, otherwise you are lowering yourself to be a parasite. Rather harsh, ouch. Not gonna lie, that hurt, I chuckled. You only lose what you cling to, Buddha sighed, don't you think? That sounds about right, I replied, wondering if I was actually relying on Hestia too much. Remember, Adam, 3 things cannot be long hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth. Buddha smiled. You can't escape the truth about yourself, your roots, who your father is, and who you are meant to be, but you can't change it, if you accept it. Thanks. With nothing to say, I teleported back to Asgard to have some lunch with Hestia, having now more questions about myself than ever before, all thanks to Buddha. Annabeth point of view. One moment I was studying with Miss J, and the next I found myself in a hotel room, with no escape. The smell and the atmosphere were more than enough to tell me who had kidnapped me, Aphrodite. But why? Forget that stupid question. She wanted to kill Adam. Now the question was, how would my absence help her? Finally awake, child, Aphrodite appeared in the room, wearing nothing but a pair of socks. Why am I here? I asked, careful not to anger her. I was but a demigod. One wrong move and she would kill me like a rat. I'm sure you already figure it out. Aphrodite rolled her eyes. I want to kill Adam, and he seems to be somewhat attached to you. You seem to overestimate our friendship. I said, Adam was my friend, but not to the point to die for me. Perhaps, Aphrodite hummed, but maybe you underestimate your worth. Adam is one loyal dog, and will stop at nothing to find you, which is why I hired Shiva, the Hindu god of destruction, to kill him. But you're right, in a sense. Adam doesn't love you, but Pērcy does, and he, well, will reach to his father should he think Adam killed you. Now imagine, poor Adam facing Poseidon and Shiva. Aphrodite giggled. That is a sight I will finger myself off to. Ew. I muttered, hoping Pērcy aka Fish Brain and his dad wouldn't believe such a thing. Otherwise Aphrodite's plan might actually work. This marks the end of part 30 of the story Pērcy Jackson, the God of Magic. Thank you for listening. Please like the video and hit the subscribe button to listen more. Hit the bell icon to get notified of all the new content uploaded to the channel ASAP.